This next question, sent to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com from Gary in Ireland.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Gary, Indiana.
I recently read that the AEW video game is way over budget, with one insider saying that the budget has gone from $20 million to upwards of $80 million.
Jesus Christ, what? That can't, no, what?
I will see as we talk about this what I can find.
Wait a minute, they build office buildings in major metropolitan areas for $80 million. Bridges across mighty rivers, bend steel in their bare hands. How much does it cost to build a video game?
You have to build a bridge in a video game, too. Furthermore, Kenny Omega, who has been positioned to front this project, is butting heads with the video game developers. On top of this...
Wait a minute, headbutts are popular these days. Are you telling me that I'm sorry, wait a minute, let's just stop here. There's, I'm sure, a lot of people out there listening to this program. I don't know about a lot. There's people out there listening to this program that are fans of old Twinkle Toes McFingerbang there, old Kenny Olivier, and think he's a great wrestler or whatever. But I ask even them, Brian, would you put Twinkle Toes in charge of anything involving $80 million?
Again, we don't know if $80 million was the number, but $20 million. $20 million. No, I would not. No.
No. I've been driving a car since I was 16 years old. That doesn't mean I know how to design or build one. So I'm sure he's played a lot of video games, but if 20 million or 80 million or any million in between of that, somebody else that's got a lot more experience in that from a business standpoint, not a gaming standpoint, is going to be in charge of those millions and millions of dollars.
I found an article here from a website called Game Rant by Rory Young. Rumor, AEW star Kenny Omega could be having problems with game developer Ukes.
Oh boy.
An unconfirmed report claims that All Elite Wrestling superstar Kenny Omega is butting heads with AEW Fight Forever developer Ukes.
Wait a minute, that's the company's name, Ukes?
Unless I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, I believe that would be
Ukes.
The report comes from Sports Gamers Online, which explains that there is a significant amount of tension between the developer and Kenny Omega, who has been leading the game's direction from the USA. The report goes so far as to say Omega is frustrated and hating working with Ukes. One source went so far as to say it came across as if Ukes was trying to take advantage of Omega's inexperience with game development.
Well,
I believe that.
Well, yeah, but now wait a minute. Now hold on here. You mean to tell me that some company that does this every day of their life for a living is having problems on this $20 to $80 million project when the point person for the other side is a guy who's played a lot of video games and never built one in his life? I can't see how that would be an issue.
In elaboration, it's explained that there have been multiple arguments over the direction of AEW Fight Forever. The result is that the game's development is...
Some people wanted them to fight for a minute and quit. That's what I heard.
The result is that the game's development is way over budget and even demanded additional investment beyond the additional allocation. Budget constraints have also led to various features being cut back or cut altogether. The one area of the game mentioned as being cut back is Fight Forever's roster, which has since been confirmed to be 50 wrestlers large.
Well, they need to cut back their real wrestler roster. Say that 3 times fast. Is this an epidemic within AEW where they need to find people that have absolutely no experience whatsoever in doing a particular thing and put them in charge of it?
You know, I never even finished the question the person sent in.
Oh, well, finish it.
Again, past the video game now. We've discussed that, explained that. On top of this, AEW's action figures are also said to have not turned a profit. And when CM Punk debuted with the company, AEW could not fulfill their t-shirt orders as their t-shirts are outsourced to Pro Wrestling Tees. All of the above and a sizable roster bring me to my question.
Wait a minute. I don't mean to interrupt the question again, but the director of, or the head muckety muck in charge of merchandising has tons of experience in merchandising for major sports franchises. It's the wife of one of the Hartley boys.
Well, to be fair, she has tons of experience working with Pro Wrestling Tees.
Well, no, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. You need people that have at this size of the issue, the company, and this reach and this national television show. You would want people who have done merchandising for major sports franchises and can know how to handle and anticipate that volume and deal with these major arenas, many of whom demand a percentage of merchandise sales that you've got to be careful to negotiate ahead of time. And then you've got to deal with the suppliers of self-same merchandise, but you don't want to outsource it because then you're just admitting that you don't know what the fuck you're doing and you're letting somebody else get first count. And if they have problems with the action figure line, they could call me because obviously I've made a great success out of those things. I have a trick or two up my sleeve.
They know what they're doing. What do you know about releasing like 40 different Cody figures and then he leaves?
Well, I'm just saying that if they wanted to make a profit on action figures, they could talk to me. If they want to just do action figures, they can keep doing what they're doing. But Tony Khan went around, and then you could ask this question. Tony Khan went around when he got all these people together and said, okay, what are you all interested in doing, even if you have no knowledge or experience of self-same thing whatsoever? I'm going to put you in charge of it. And he was a fantasy camp. Well, I've always wanted to be a video game developer. Well, then bless you, son. Well, I've always wanted to run a merchandise department for a major company. Well, then bless you.
The other funny thing is I would bet money this came up during the first negotiation. What do you want to join AEW? Well, Hunter is offering me all this to go to WWE. Well, what do you want to join here? Well, I just want a fair wrestler's contract, and I also want to book the women's division and do video games. All right, you got it.
Yeah, there you go. So anyway, well, it comes from the top because the booker never booked. Quitters never win and bookers never booked. But what was the question?
Here was the question. And again, we're talking about the video game. We're talking about action figures. We're talking about t-shirts. We don't know any of the actual figures. This email from Gary in Ireland is running on rumors, but take whatever you want into account and put it into this question. All of the above and a sizable roster bring me to my question. Does AEW need their own version of a Nick Khan to tidy up their shabby business practices?
Boom goes the dynamite. They got the wrong Khan over there. They got several of the wrong Khans. They got all kinds of Khans, but none of them are the right Khan. Obviously, the WWE product sucks swamp water. We know that. It's boring as shit. They're not clownish and unprofessional and over-the-top silly like AEW is. They're just boring as shit. But they're making money hand over fist. And again, Vince McMahon has won every wrestling war that he's ever been involved in, not by having the better product, but by having the better business. Can you doubt that people looked at Crockett in the 80s side by side with the WWF and said, what is this phony ice cream bar bullshit? Crockett was neck and neck with him, but he had a converted convenience store off of fucking South Boulevard and 3 elderly secretaries. And Turner Broadcasting. They had a big company, but none of the people in the wrestling division knew shit from apple butter. And it got worse and worse. And Vince capitalized on that and let it fall apart as it was going to. Because when they did have TBS owned the company for 13 years, had success for 2, got drunk with it, and flamed out. Every challenge that Vince has had from any other wrestling promotion again, it wasn't about the product. It was about the professionalism of the business and the structure of the business behind it. And whether you like it or not, he gets people that are experienced in the business world, not necessarily in wrestling. But if the thing we're talking about here is making money, making a profit, and being the industry leader, Nick Khan's a fucking Hollywood guy. That's why they're talking with all these people. That's why they make money on every goddamn thing. That's why they have the power to mistreat all of their wrestlers. Because they're making a fucking fortune, because this guy can get anybody from NASA to fucking Boris Yeltsin on a fucking phone. Right? It's Tony Khan had contacts, but this is a whole nother level. And they have, the WWE has the track record. They've got the proof of ownership of the market in place, where they are by far the biggest company. They're the ones that everybody goes to if they're interested in a wrestling product, if they don't know anything about wrestling. But the people that are knowledgeable about wrestling and looking for a good product, they don't have any major movie studios or television networks. So yeah, that's always what's going to be the difference between any other promotion and the WWE, is these people in the WWE now that are running it. They may not know anything about fucking wrestling, but they're goddamn on another level in every facet of a business. They could be a football team, a baseball team, a fucking movie studio, or whatever. That's where Vince beats everybody.
If Tony Khan can't find the right executive or right executive team to hire to straighten things up in AEW,
or he can't figure out a proper transition.
No, perhaps he could do that just fine. But maybe if he's saving all that money on executives, he wants to put that money into fine art.
Well, that's true, because here's the thing, Brian. In today's uncertain environment, you got to take care of your family. You know that. You've heard that before. Sometimes you even say it. Sometimes you don't. But every once in a while, you always think you got to take care of your family. You got to be financially secure. And no matter who you are, you could be a major superstar, you could be a big-time celebrity, or just Joe Schmo. Look at Bruno Sammartino. We've been talking about Vince and his empire. Bruno Sammartino was an icon, was a hero, the living legend. The crowds went wild with cheers every time he entered the ring. The media was in love with him. But you know the story. There's a documentary coming out on Bruno soon. As soon as I figure out how to use iTunes, I might watch it. When he was a kid, he was a 98-pound weakling. He was small. He was bullied. But he trained harder, and his grit and determination and his wonderful mother brought him to the United States. He lived the American dream. He became the world heavyweight champion, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And what did Bruno say? Every time he was asked, he said, I never wrestled for money or fame. I just wanted to be able to take care of my family. And that's something we should all aspire to, folks. So right now, if you people out there in the sound of my voice, you need to take care of your family, well, for heaven's sake, don't go out there and try to hunt and live off the fat of the land and feed your family possums and raccoons. Don't go out there and try to get a job, of all things. You're not going to make any money at a job these days. What you need to do to fill the gas tank and put food on your table, invest in fine art. Folks, we've uncovered a company that allows normal people like you and me, not Brian, he's very abnormal, to fight back against inflation and reach the pinnacle of financial security through fine art. And folks, we're not just, I know everybody can't just go out and buy a Van Gogh or a Monet. You can't do that. You
Van
can't
Gogh
even
and
buy
Monet.
Either.
You should know this. Come on, fine art.
You can't even buy a nose off of a Rembrandt for six figures anymore. And boy, howdy, if you just try to go into one of those museums and cut the nose off of a Rembrandt and see the looks you get.
Don't try that. You'll get more than looks. Don't try that.
Well, some people will throw popcorn at you. But now what you can do, the folks at Masterworks, they have gotten the scoop down on how you can invest in fine art along with other folks and reap the benefits. And these aren't collector's plates, folks. You know, when you buy those collector's plates from the Franklin Mint, some can go down in value. But Masterworks, works by masters. It's in the title. How can you not want to own a piece of a masterwork, which is obviously a work by a master? Folks, you can't just walk into a museum and pull these off the wall, right? Well, some people can, but it takes a lot of planning. And if I were you, the first thing I'd do is start looking at the alarm systems. That's where you got to start.
No, start doing something else with your time.
Alarm systems. Well, no. Well, then
earn what you got.
You've got to go and find the families of the guards and where they live. And then there's a whole negotiation process where, you know, you got a nice family there. It should be a shame if something happened to them. You got to go through all of that. This is easier with Masterworks.
This is nothing like that. No.
Well, not at Masterworks, because this is easier. The other way, you got to do it all manually when you knock over the Metropolitan Museum of Fine Art.
Are you playing drums on your desk? What's going on over there?
No, I'm just saying I'm vehement about this. You got to go through a lot of trouble when you knock the museum over.
It's got like a beat.
But when it's easy to dance to. But when you go to masterworks.art/gym, it's easier. You can invest in art without having the nasty prison sentence being dangled over your head.
Don't slash the painting, slash Jim.
Yes, don't slash the paint. And that's another thing. I saw a documentary the other day on one of the finest art thieves in Boston. They were talking about the Winter Hill Gang and Whitey Bulger, but he mentioned that these amateurs did the museum heist up there where they just cut the paintings out of the frames. And he said the paint's old, it chips, real amateur work there. Folks, you need to take them frame and all, and you need to get involved with the guards' families, know where they live, know their routines, so one of them can be picked up and detained just long enough so they know you're serious. But again, there's planning involved and blueprints. Better go to masterworks.art/gym. You'll get priority access to the Masterworks folks. You'll skip their wait list because people are lining up to do this. And then you will be able to purchase the pieces of these fine arts, and that's the plural of fine art, is fine arts, and you'll make a fortune. And they'll explain it to you on the website. Again, masterworks.art/gym, masterworks.art/gym. And if you want to see important Regulation A disclosures, go to masterworks.io/CD. That's only for Regulation A, but I understand those are the most important disclosures. You should always disclose your regulations and regulate the amount of your disclosures. Masterworks.art/gym. Obviously, you know exactly what you're going there for now. Fine art and money, and you will reap benefits somehow. Go there.